Hi, I'm Toby, I'm 35, and my own body is trying to kill me. So things have got a little bit mixed up at the moment in that you have already heard that I have been accepted onto the transplant list before I've gone through the actual assessment. It's just because of the way the timings worked and time to edit the videos and so on. At the start of last week, I arrived at the Royal Free Hospital for my assessment to see if I was going to be accepted onto the transplant list. Didn't really know what to expect. I had a bit of an idea. A lot of my tests have already been done, so I was lucky that a lot of things I could just skip. And yeah, so I arrived at the Royal Free after a bit of a walk. Gorgeous area, and this was the scene that first greeted me. So this was my very first introduction to the Royal Free Hospital. So this is my first glimpse at Royal Free Hospital, where I will probably be spending quite a lot of time. Here in the evening, the first part of my assessment. As you can see, it's actually a beautiful area. They've got some really nice statues and things around, and I did manage to sneak out of the hospital a little bit a couple of times and walk down, see a little bit of the area, and I did notice there's I think it was a Costa or a Starbucks or something not too far away, so I think I might be availing myself of that at some point. So I've got here a little bit early and I'm spending a bit of time just to look around. There's some interesting ornaments and statues and things, including this rather impressive structure behind me. It looks like the patients, or a number of them, are out around this area. A couple of people sitting around with drips and things, so this could be quite a nice place to come out and spend some time if I'm attached to drips and stuff during my recovery, which I will be, but hopefully I'll be allowed out. I can come and sit here and enjoy the sun, because that was one of the things I really struggled with before, is being trapped inside for most of the time. So once I was in and settled down, there was nothing really to do on the first night, and on the second day, I think one of the first people I met was a dietitian. The dietitian was quite happy with the weight I lost, seemed a little bit concerned with how little I'd been eating and how much weight I'd lost, but I did reassure her that actually this was all intentional. And what she said now is to focus less on making sure I have very little salt and making sure that I'm definitely getting those 3,000 calories a day and I'm getting enough protein, because as soon as my body is not getting enough protein and not getting enough calories, it's going to start taking away from these from my muscles. And it's very important that after the transplant I have that muscular build, that muscular mass ready for providing my body with energy as part of the recovery process. So the next test I ran through was a lung function test. And this is an interesting and weird one. Basically, you sat in front of this machine with a big mouthpiece on it, and then she basically, the doctor, nurse, whoever it is, says, you know, wrap your mouth around this. And she says, okay, breathe normally. And as you're breathing, you see the graph on the computer in front of you go up as you're breathing out and down as you're breathing in. So I'm breathing normally, and she says, okay, now take a deep breath, and when I say, I want you to blow out as hard and fast as you can. Okay, okay, excellent, you see it on the graph. And now I want you to take a deep breath and then blow out for as long as you can. So I take a deep breath and I'm blowing out, steady breath, and she goes, keep going, keep going, keep going, and I'm going cross-eyed, keep going, keep going. I swear I'm going blue in the face at this point. There's nothing left in my lungs. There's no air left in my body. I think I'm just about to squeeze my insides out. Keep going. Graph has reached that point where it's, you know, it's flattened out, and I'm ready to just pass out in front of her, and she goes, and breathe. Oh my word. And we had to do that several times, and literally by the time we'd gone through that, I was ready to just keel over. Spots in front of my eyes. This is not fun. So we had a variety of, breathe in, breathe out, long breath, short breath. And then she says, okay, now use this machine over here. And she closes me into a glass cubicle. And I look something like this. And in this glass cubicle, I'm doing the same kind of thing, but they're looking at other elements as well. Something to do with pressure, I think it was. But honestly, the only thing I can think of is, I really hope I don't need to fart, because if that happens in here, I'm dead. I have serious thoughts in these kind of things. There was another point as well when on the other machine, when you breathe in, and she said basically, okay, so this is going to blow some carbon monoxide into your lungs. Then you breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. And I'm like, carbon monoxide? Surely that's the thing that people die from because it gets in the home. And like, is this a good idea? Apparently, that's what they do. It was one of those moments where like, I'm just going to trust you know what you're doing, because I'm just freaking out a little bit over here. I'm sure it's safe. Then came the education session. Now, as I've mentioned before, you have to bring a next of kin. And my next of kin, for better or worse, is my sister, who I absolutely love to bits. The reason it's better or worse is because she's just about as mad as I am, and we're just about as well behaved as each other. So I think we were quite distracting to other people in the education session. There was one thing in particular, one of the job titles was shortened down, and I just can't remember what it was, but we were just giggling our butts off while this poor woman's trying to give us this education session. The education session itself was not what I expected. I thought it would be me, my sister, and then the bunch of people all sat around a table, and they talk to us and we'd ask questions and so on and so forth. Actually, it's one person at the front, and then there's groups of different people who are coming up for transplant, all in the same room, and it's done as a kind of presentation. She does take questions if you have questions, but yeah, generally it's done as a presentation. So that was not what I was expecting, but that's fine. It worked out well. Despite our giggling and misbehavior. She did go through a lot of the stats and figures and made it very clear that actually this is a very risky operation. This is not something that is to be undertaken lightly. On the other hand, most of us will die without it. So, I undertake that risk or I die. Not much of a thing. I did ask one of the most important questions that has been on my mind for a while, crucially important. Can somebody take a photo of my liver after it's taken out of my body? And they said yes. So you've got that to look forward to. One of my other friends, Lucy, is absolutely excited by that because she's just as strange as me when it comes to loving photos of organs and things taken out of bodies and all that kind of stuff. She's the only person in the world I've ever known who's turned around to me and gone, "Can I come and watch your endoscopy?" Sure. If you don't know, the endoscopy is one where they put the camera down the throat and then poke it around the stomach and stuff. Something that's really useful to have generally for the whole assessment, and particularly in these meetings, is have a diary. So a diary like this, and I keep all sorts of notes in here and drawings if I get bored. But one of the important things for me is to keep note of people's names. So every nurse that I meet, every doctor, every surgeon, I write down their name and their job title, and that comes right down to the ward nurses that are on the night shift, because particularly when you're going to be in hospital for a while, it's really good to know people's names. It's really good to build up that relationship. And too many times I've kind of asked somebody at the start, "Oh, what was your name?" Okay. And then I've forgotten. And then it's really embarrassing because you then, see them every day for 2 weeks and you're like, at what point can I ask this person their name again? This has got really awkward. Oh my God, what have I done? So I've now got it all written down to help me. That might just be me and my inability to remember names or anything. But I find it incredibly helpful and very useful to refer back, and in this kind of education meeting also make notes of what's being said. This education meeting was also educational for my sister in ways that she had not expected. Bless her. I think it's been quite overwhelming. So, you know, when you're going through this whole experience, remember that actually it's very difficult for your loved ones, and as much as they want to be here and support you, there's also a very strong inclination for everyone to kind of put their head in the ground a little bit and pretend it's not happening. And that's not just for your loved ones, that's for you as well. I know I did for a long time, and it's taken me a long time to kind of come to terms with my disorder and go, oh, actually, yeah, this is kind of a serious thing. I actually need to take this seriously now. And I think this education session was really kind of a bit of a cold shower moment, when it was very clear, actually, this really is serious. There are quite significant risks. And, you know, this is something that we chatted about afterwards, because it's very upsetting for both of you to go through that. And the one thing I can say for me is I'm getting through this. I know I'm going to survive through this because I am stubborn. I'm in a good position. I'm healthy. I'm doing everything I need to do, so I will get through this. So nobody needs to worry about that. But I know it's scary. It's scary for other people. It's scary for me. Anyone who says it's not is either deluded or lying. So don't worry about it. The other thing that came as a surprise to my sister was when we were talking about liver transplants and donors and split livers and things. And, you know, obviously my sister was asking questions about, you know, how do I get checked for this, so on and so forth. And then I had to ask a question. Do I get final say in whether I accept a live donor liver or not? So if somebody wants to donate part of their liver to me, do I get to say no? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can say, no, I don't want that liver, or I don't want a donor liver. And I think that was a big shock for my sister because she really wants to help and do whatever she can, and she kind of got it in her head that she was going to donate part of her liver. That was not even part of the question. I don't know, she's been doing things in her own life to prepare herself for that, in terms of getting fitter and so on. But as I said in my previous video, it's not something that I can go through with. And that was the moment when she realized that I wasn't going to accept it. And it was very difficult for both of us to kind of talk to each other about that and say, yeah, I can't accept it. I love that you're offering, I can't accept it. And my sister, bless her, turned around and said, but this is how I care. This is how I show that I care. You know, I want to help, and I don't understand why you wouldn't accept that help. And it's perfectly understandable to feel that way. Like I say, we talked it through, and my previous video, which you can see on my channel, I showed her that, which I actually recorded after this conversation, saying why it was difficult for me or impossible for me to accept a donor liver. But as I said then on that video, and I said to her, if it gets to a point where I need to accept a live transplant, I need a split liver, if my health starts deteriorating where it becomes an issue, I will absolutely accept that. I'm not going to put myself at risk, but it's something that I would really rather do only as an absolute last resort. So one of the things they talk about on this whole liver transplant experience is obviously getting the call. So you're sat there waiting, you don't know how long it could be 2 days or it could be 2 years. We are sitting and waiting for that phone call to come through. And even when it comes through, they say people get something like 6 to 9 false starts. So that's a phone call where they come into the hospital, and then at some point during that time in the hospital when they're preparing, the surgeons say, we can't proceed. Either the person's not healthy enough, or the liver's not functioning, or there's some other issue, and they can't go ahead, so they go home and just carry on waiting. And that's nerve-wracking. Now, today I had my first experience of just a bit of a taster of that, because I was at work, sat in the classroom, and suddenly my phone started buzzing in my pocket. And I thought, oh, what's this? I don't usually get calls. So I looked at it, unknown number, and immediately my brain's going, it's the hospital. Oh my God, it's the hospital. Why are they calling me? I can't be Surely it can't be that quickly. Oh my God, is this the call? Am I going to have to go now? So I rush outside, pick up the phone, and I'm like, back of my mind, I'm going, oh, please just let it be a sales call or something. Hello, Toby speaking. Hi, this is Royal Free Hospital. Like, heart stopped, breath frozen, panic, fear, just ready to freak out. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. This is too soon. Help. I'd just like to, just calling to inform you that we've arranged an appointment for you to come in and sign the surgical consent forms. Oh my word. Why couldn't you start with that? I've just had a heart attack for nothing. Oh, and I literally sat for 10 minutes back in class with my hand shaking like this. The adrenaline was just going through me. So if I've got to go through that 6 to 9 times, but worse, I can see why they want me to see a psychologist for a psychological assessment, because I'll be a wreck. I'll be an absolute gibbering wreck. I might even get to the point where the phone rings and I just start crying in a corner. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting and a bit of a glimpse into my life so far with liver transplant. And I hope you keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, ask me questions, share the videos, anything you can do to help get these videos out there and help other people see them, so we can raise awareness and support people who are also going through the same thing, either now or in the future. Unfortunately, YouTube and Facebook and so on tend to bury something if it's not hugely popular, so it makes people like me really struggle to actually get seen. So thank you very much for all your support. Thank you for watching. Love to you all. Take care. Bye.